Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my first everyday makeup drawer video for 2019. I'm going to start doing these videos every 2 months. I found that every month was a little bit too often and every season was just not often enough, so I think 2 months will be a good balance. I'm really going to use this as a way to curate my makeup collection in 2019, and if I just decide that products no longer have a place, I will declutter them at the end of the 2 months. And then of course I do have a mix of new products as well. So these are all of the products that I'll really be focusing on in January and February. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let's jump into it and I'll show you what I'll be using. Okay, let me kick it off with face primers. I have a couple of new products and then also a few things that I just need to decide whether or not I still enjoy. So the first thing is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I have tried this, but I haven't really used it enough to form a good opinion on it. The first few times I used it, I wasn't like super thoroughly impressed like I was with a lot of their other products. So I definitely want to try it out again. It's not necessarily a primer. It's more of like a glowy highlighter that you can use as a base or on top of your makeup. So I'll use it different ways to decide how I feel about it, but I definitely want to get some use out of it over the next few months. The Smashbox Primerizer is my favorite primer, especially for the winter time because it is so moisturizing. It's just my go-to. It makes your skin look really beautiful and your foundation goes on top perfectly. And then I did recently try out the Physicians Formula Bright Booster Oil Elixir, which is kind of like a skincare face primer all in one. I like using it as a primer because it is so lightweight, so it just goes on the skin really beautifully and it looks really nice too. I do have a similar product from Flower Beauty. This one is the Supernova Celestial Skin Elixir. This one's a great option too. It's a little bit heavier, so it might be more ideal for you if you have dry skin, and the Physicians Formula might be better if you have oily skin. I love using the e.l.f. Active Hydration Stick during the winter time because it's just kind of like a boost of moisture wherever you need it on your face. So I just usually use that after I use pretty much any primer. And then I do have the Touch in Sol No Pore Plum Primer in my collection, but I haven't used it super regularly, so I need to decide whether or not it is a good option for me, so I will be focusing on that over the next few months as well. I don't really reach for mattifying primers too often, but when I do, I've been loving the Fenty Beauty Primer. It's a really great option, and then I have a sample size of the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Oil, which is good, but I have more affordable alternatives that I like better, but I'm just trying to use this up. The last primer is the Cover FX Blurring Primer. I got this in a BoxyCharm and I like it, but I haven't used it regularly, so I have to decide whether or not I want to keep it in my collection or if I can declutter at the end of February. Okay, moving on to priming sprays and setting sprays. I have a bunch of these. I kind of use them interchangeably, but I figured I would show them to you guys because I think I usually neglect this portion in my videos, but I've been all about priming and setting sprays lately. So I have this one from Too Faced, which can be used as a priming spray or a setting spray. You can use it either way, but this one is really refreshing. Then of course I have the Urban Decay All Nighter, which is like the perfect setting spray. It just locks your makeup into place all night long. So this one is great if you have oily skin or if you just have a really long day ahead of you because it will literally lock everything into place all day. The Smashbox Primer Water is my favorite priming spray. It feels really refreshing, really moisturizing on the skin, and I just think my makeup goes on top really beautifully. And then I have the Flower Beauty Seal the Deal Long Lasting Setting Spray. This one is their matte option, and it just keeps your skin matte throughout the day. I do like the ColourPop All-Star Setting Spray as well. I haven't used this one for a while, so maybe I'll try to focus on using it more in January and February. And then I also have not tried out the Pixie Glow Mist. I hear so many good things about this. I don't know if it's technically a skincare product or a priming or setting spray. I have to read about it, but I had it in my collection, so I thought I would give it a shot. Okay, moving on to foundations. I tried to switch it up and really add a lot of new foundations to my collection because in 2018, I didn't switch it up too much. So my go-to foundation right now is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. I have the shade 6.5, which is a little bit too light for me, but I can make it work. I like the foundation so much. It's my absolute favorite. I am going to use it in an upcoming Get Ready With Me so I can show you guys how it applies, but it's been my go-to. I've also been testing out the Smashbox Studio Skin Hydrating Foundation, which I really like. Generally, hydrating foundations don't hold up on my skin that well, but this one looks really great throughout the day. So I want to test it out a little bit more before I do a full review, but so far I've been enjoying it. The next two are completely new to my collection. I did a haul recently. I got the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous foundation, which I did try a long time ago, back when I used to use CoverGirl, like when I was first on YouTube. So I really enjoyed it at the time, but I haven't used it yet. So I'm excited to see if I still love it. And then I'm also testing out the Flower Light Illusion foundation. Judging from the comments, I think this one might be a little bit too dewy for me, but I still want to try it out because there are some Flower Beauty products I haven't tried yet, so that one is on my list. And then I do love the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation, especially during like the winter months, because it is a little bit more of a hydrating foundation and it has a nice medium coverage, which is great for everyday wear. So I wear the shade 3.5, which is a little bit light, but actually during the winter, it's probably more of like a perfect match for me. I'm actually testing the ColourPop No Filter again. This was in like my worst products of 2018, but I'm going to give it one last shot during the winter time to see if it works better for me than it did during the summer, and if not, I will declutter it. Okay, moving on to concealers. I don't have too many because I really want to test these ones pretty thoroughly. So my go-to concealer is the Too Faced Born This Way. It's full coverage. It looks beautiful on the skin. I love this. It's the one that I wear every single day. Honestly, I could declutter the rest of my collection, but I do like to switch it up, try out different products. So I am trying out the Flower Beauty Concealer. I've heard mixed reviews about this, but I've purchased a bunch of Flower Beauty products because I haven't tried a lot of their complexion products. So I want to try them out for myself. So this one is in my drawer. And then I have two concealers that have been around for a while that I need to decide whether or not I still like them and want to have them in my collection. The first one is the Urban Decay All Nighter, which is a full coverage concealer, but I think it's a little bit more drying than the Too Faced concealer. So I don't know if it's going to be super flattering. It's been such a long time since I've really used it regularly. And also the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer, which is more lightweight. But again, it's been so long since I've used it, so I really have to decide in January and February whether or not I want to keep these two in my collection because they're getting a little bit older. Okay, moving on to face powders. I do have quite a few face powders, but there are a couple that I'm trying to use up, a couple that I love to use regularly, and then a few that are new to my collection. So I do love the Too Faced It's Bananas Setting Powder. I love using this under the eyes to brighten everything up. It's very smooth, very lightweight, really beautiful, but I'm trying to use up these next two. So the first one is the NYX HD Finishing Powder. It's fine, but I've discovered other pressed powders that I like better. It's a little bit too lightweight for me, so I'm just trying to use it up. And then the Catrice powder is a good option, but I have other powders that I like more, so I'm not going to repurchase it, and I've had it for a little while, so I just want to finish it up and be done with it. It's not a bad option. Again, I just have other powders that I like better at this point. And then I'm also trying to use up this Laura Geller powder. I do like this on days where I don't want to wear like full coverage foundation or a lot of makeup, and I've actually used up a lot of it. You can't tell because it's like a domed product, but I'm going to try to finish it up this year. It will probably take me a little bit longer than January and February, but I will do it. My favorite powder is the Charlotte Tilbury powder. It's so beautiful, but it's so expensive. So I use it in my T-zone. I don't use it every single day because it is expensive. So I use it a little bit more sparingly, but I do love keeping it in my drawer. And then I'm testing out this CoverGirl powder. I did purchase a few CoverGirl products. I don't know if they are all in my everyday makeup drawer or not. I have a bunch of drugstore products to test out. So I did put a lot of them in my drawer, but you might see other drugstore products on my channel over the next few months. Not everything's in my drawer, but this is one of the products that I do really want to test out. I have a couple of loose powders. So I have the Hourglass Setting Powder, which is so beautiful. It just makes your skin look airbrushed and flawless, and I love using it as like an all-over setting powder or like a buffing powder after I do all of my makeup. And then my go-to setting powder is the Too Faced Peach Perfect one. This one is just really mattifying. It locks everything into place all day long. It is my go-to. This is the one that I reach for most often, especially if I'm going for like a full coverage look that I want to stay in place all day long. This is my go-to. It does not let me down. I have the Urban Decay Velvetizer, which I still use to set my under eye concealer. I don't use it on the rest of my face, but it does lock my concealer into place really well, and it's super, super lightweight. I haven't really been mixing it into any of my foundations lately, but I might try that again in January and February. And then I also have the ColourPop Loose Setting Powder, which is more lightweight. So this one is great for everyday wear, or it's also good if I pair it with like a super matte foundation because it's not a super matte powder. So I do like having this one in my drawer as well. So I know that's a lot of powder, but I do go through powder pretty quickly, and I just have so many that I'm trying to like use up or test out. So I do have a lot this month. Okay, let's move on to cheek products. I tried to narrow this down because I used to have so many and I took out a ton of them because I really want to focus on using maybe like 5 or 6 from each different category. So let's start with the blushes. The first one is the Charlotte Tilbury blush, and I do like this, but I'm trying to decide if I like it enough to keep in my collection because I really want to narrow my blush collection down in 2019. So I do want to focus on using this one a little bit more. My favorite blushes are the Hourglass blushes, so I do have them in my drawer because they're my go-to. Honestly, I should probably take them out and focus on other blushes, but I just don't want to. They look so beautiful on the cheeks, and I feel like I could really get rid of all of my blushes and just be content with these, but I do feel like it's important to switch it up, try out other products because I do film beauty videos, so I like to be able to recommend different products, but these are my favorite, so I do keep them in my drawer because they are my most worn blushes. I am revisiting my Becca Mineral Blushes. I have 3 shades, and I like this formula, but it's been a while since I've used them, and I don't reach for them as much as the Hourglass blushes. So I really want to focus on using them in January and February because if I don't get enough use out of them, I need to pass them along so somebody else can enjoy them. Even if I like them, it doesn't mean that they still have a place in my collection. So we will see. I'm going to really focus on using them the next few months. I do have a couple of cheek palettes before I move on to highlighters and bronzers. My favorite palette ever is this one from Hourglass. I got it from Nordstrom a few months ago, and I think it was the holiday palette from last year. It comes with a few permanent products, and then I think the shade Surreal Glow, which is the shade on the left, was limited edition. But this palette is so beautiful. I reach for it more than I do my single blushes. So I love keeping this one in my drawer. And then I also have the Ambient Lighting Volume 4 palette, which I got over the holiday season. And I told you guys I kind of regretted spending my money on this, but I do find myself using the powders a little bit more lately. So I do use it. I don't think I'll ever pay $80 for another one, but in the meantime, I am using it because I do have it and I do like it. I just don't know if I like it enough that I think it's worth the $80, if that makes sense. So I'll be testing out the e.l.f. Modern Metals blush palette. This has gotten so many good reviews, like the Modern Metals collection in general, and I'm so late to the game. It's ridiculous, but I figured since I did have it, I might as well test it out because I've heard so many good things about it. Of course, my Flower Beauty highlight palette has to be in my drawer. This is my go-to highlighting palette. Over like the past few months, I haven't even reached for any single highlighters because I've been wearing this every single day. So I have to switch it up over the next few months, but I have to have it in my drawer because it is my go-to. Okay, moving on to highlighters and bronzers. This is all I have. I actually took out like 10 or 12 highlighters from my drawer because it was just overwhelming and I couldn't focus on any of them. So I really want to test out my Makeup Revolution baked highlighters. These were my favorite for a long time, but it's been a while since I've used them regularly. So I want to see if I still love them, if I still enjoy wearing those shades. I have my Ofra highlighter. This is a really beautiful gold shade, and I think the formula is kind of similar to the Flower Beauty formula. So because I've been enjoying that formula so much, I figured I would wear this one. And then I have my Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting powders. These are really beautiful as well, but I just feel like I've been neglecting them. So I really want to use them in January and February and see if I still love them or not. As for bronzers, I'm really only using 2. So I have the Balm Take Home the Bronze Anti-Orange Bronzer, which is my favorite. I'm almost finished with it. It has lasted me forever, and I will end up repurchasing it. But before I do that, I really need to go through my collection. So I'll also be using the Becca Sunlit Bronzer, which is pretty much brand new. I had repurchased it when I ran out of it last year, and then I discovered the Balm's bronzer, so I kind of neglected this one. So I'm kind of hoping to fall back in love with it so I don't have to repurchase the bronzer from the Balm for now, and I have other bronzers that I really need to test out. Okay, moving on to lip products before I do eye products and eyeshadow palettes. So It looks like I have a lot, but you guys, I really did narrow down my lip products. So I'm focusing on 3 different lipstick lines in January and February. The first one is the Too Faced Natural Nudes lipstick line, which is my go-to. These are my favorite. I wear them pretty much every single time I wear lipstick. So I do have those in my drawer because they are my most used lipsticks. But I'll also be focusing on the Urban Decay Vice lipsticks, which are right in the middle. I really enjoy these, and whenever I do wear them, I love the formula so much. Even the dark shades stay in place really well, so I put them in my drawers so I could just get some use out of them because I do love them so much. And then over on the left, I have my ColourPop lipsticks. These are a little bit neglected. I really want to use the shades that I do have and see if I still enjoy the formula or not. A lot of people have told me that they like the formula more than like high-end lipsticks, so I feel like I'm missing out. I mean, I've worn them off and on, but I haven't worn them enough to really decide whether or not I would consider them a staple in my collection, so I am going to use them more. Moving on to liquid lipsticks. I put a few in here with like the intention of either using them or I'll be decluttering them at the end of February. So I do have 2 lipsticks from Pixi. I think this formula is really nice. It's more of like a satin finish, and these are 2 shades that I'm really into right now. So I am going to use them over the next few months and just decide if I like them more than other lipsticks in my collection. My liquid lipstick collection's out of hand, so I have to declutter it, but it's been a long time since I've used the NYX Lingerie liquid lipsticks, and honestly, I can't remember if I enjoy the formula or not, so I am going to use these. And then I do enjoy the Stila Stay All Day liquid lipstick formula. I kind of rediscovered it in November and December, so I did put a bunch of those in my drawers so I could just enjoy them because they're really beautiful, and I love the colors, and the formula is just comfortable, and I figured I would get a lot of use out of them. Okay, I probably should have narrowed down my lip glosses a little bit more, but there's so many that I have to try. My lip product collection is out of hand, so I really need to like start trying the formulas to decide which ones I want to keep, which ones I want to declutter. I have a few of the new Too Faced lip glosses, and then I put the rest in an upcoming giveaway, so stay tuned for that. But I did want to try out the formula, so I kept 2. I'm also trying out the new Smashbox lip glosses. They're okay. I don't think they're anything super special. Like, I don't think they're worth the high-end price tag, but I've only worn them a few times, so I'll let you guys know what I think after I get a chance to wear them a little bit more. And then I have 2 Bare Minerals glosses, which are a little bit older, so I just want to decide whether or not I want to keep them. And then I have the e.l.f. Alyssa Ashley gloss, which is really beautiful, but again, it's been a long time since I've used it, so I just want to decide whether or not I need to keep it in my collection. I have a ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Moonchild, which is a really pretty nude. And then I have a NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Tiramisu. And then I do love the Buxom Gloss formula. These are kind of like staple glosses that I will keep around. Okay, moving on to palettes. I do have a lot, but this is for 2 months, and eyeshadow palettes are my favorite. So I have the e.l.f. Modern Metals palette. A lot of people rave about this, and I did get it sent to me in PR a while ago, so I figured I would try it out because I did have it. The Flower Beauty palette is my favorite. It's my go-to. And then I've also been enjoying the ColourPop Brown Sugar palette just for like easy everyday looks. The Persona palette is so high quality, and I really hope they do more eyeshadow palettes in 2019 because this color scheme isn't my favorite, but the formula is so good, so I do want to make sure I get some use out of it. And then I just got this e.l.f. New Classics palette, I think last month, so I'm still kind of testing it out, but it has some really pretty colors in it, and the formula is very lightweight, very easy to work with. The BH Cosmetics Royal Affair palette is one that I've had for a while, but I haven't got a ton of use out of, so I do want to focus on using it over the next few months. And then, okay, I have so many Juvia's Place palettes. I made the commitment to purchase 1 palette per month in 2019. Before I committed to that, I placed like a pretty big Juvia's Place order, and I just got it recently. These were all like 50% off around the holidays, so I did get a couple of new ones, including this one. I want to do like a Juvia's Place overview, so that's why I purchased so many, and honestly, the formula is my favorite. It was my favorite formula of 2018, so I am looking forward to using them. This one's new as well, the Magic Mini. It has some really pretty like bright shades, a couple of neutrals. But you guys, Juvia's Place shadows are so good. They're just insanely pigmented and gorgeous. If you like a super intense, colorful eyeshadow or even neutral eyeshadow, you can't go wrong with these. They're my favorite. Okay, so I have a couple of eye products. I have 3 different mascaras that I will be using in January and February, and then I'll be getting rid of them and trying some different ones. So, I mean, I've been using these for December. I have the Lash Princess, or no, the Lash Warrior by Flower Beauty, which is great at separating your lashes. And then I have the Lash Princess by Essence, which is really good at lengthening them. I love using those two together. And then I also have the It Cosmetics Superhero, which I do still love, but a lot of people complain that this flakes. And I've noticed that it has been flaking on me a little bit. So, I mean, I opened it. I am going to finish it up, but I don't know that I would consider it an absolute favorite any longer. These are the liquid liners that I'm using right now. The Tarte Maneater and the NYX Epic ink liners are my favorite, and those are the ones that I'll continue to repurchase, but these are the 3 that I have open in my collection right now. I have a couple of brow pencils. So I have ColourPop, Anastasia, and LA Girl. My favorite is LA Girl, so once I run out of the other 2, I'll just stick with LA Girl unless I'm trying out new products. But I do have a couple that are open that I'm currently using, and then I do have my Charlotte Tilbury eye pencil, which is amazing. It's a gorgeous nude that makes your eyes look really bright and awake. My Urban Decay Primer Potion, which I started using at the beginning of 2018, and it's still going strong. It's my only primer potion. And then I have the Anastasia Brow Gel, which I did get as part of a set. I'm going to test it out and see if I like it better than the ColourPop Brow Boss, which is my favorite. It's my go-to. It's like my #1 brow gel, but I also use the Essence Brow Gel as well, just depending on the day, but more often I use the ColourPop one. So I keep these palettes in the background of my video just because they are pretty much like decoration for the background, but they're also some of my go-to palettes. So I have like my Anastasia palettes, and then I also have the Friendcation palette by Dose of Colors and the Too Faced Chocolate Gold. They're not necessarily like part of my drawer this month, but they are palettes that I do reach for fairly often. Then I have my ColourPop lip liners and lippy sticks over on the left. All of the shades that I wear most often are like thrown in front, just because then I don't have to dig around for them, but I mostly wear the nude shades. And then over on the right, I have my ColourPop eyeliners and then a few Urban Decay liners. And then over here, I have the setting sprays and priming sprays, which I showed you guys, as well as my daily like sunscreen. So I have Drunk Elephant, Kula, and e.l.f. And you guys, that is the end of my everyday makeup drawer for January and February. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video. Bye.